Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories. If you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's dive straight in to today's first story. Now today's first story does come with an update, and it's from Individual Diamond 606 and it's titled, "My mum, 60s, wants to force a reconciliation between me, 35 female, and my sister, 32, but it backfired. I don't know if I want her in my life anymore." Background. I started dating my brother's best friend when I was 16. We were together until I graduated high school when he proposed and I rejected it. There was a lot of drama with my family asking me to reconsider because we could have a long engagement or make a promise to reconcile. My relationship with my brother, 36, suffered for a while, but the one with my sister, 32, never recovered. She was sure my ex was the best fit for me and became unbearable when she started dating my ex's brother. My ex was invited everywhere by my siblings, even to some family holidays, but I didn't say anything since he was their friend too. That is until my sister started to push for us to get back together. My sister did everything from trying to get us on blind dates to making us share a room during holidays. No matter the occasion, my ex was invited to it. After a while I had enough and asked my parents to intervene. They were clear with my siblings and stopped inviting my ex to things or allowing him to tag along so much. It was slightly better, but while my brother backed off, my sister didn't. It all came to a crash when I met my husband during a semester abroad. He was from another university but the same country and we just clicked. It was magical for me and we got engaged after dating for a year. My family was very happy for me, except my sister. She kept insisting I was in the honeymoon phase and would grow out of it. I clearly didn't, and after many, can't express enough how many, fights and attempt to reunite me with my ex, I simply let her know if she pulled anything again, I will stop talking to her. What does she do after that warning? Makes me her maid of honor and requests I spend all my time with the bridal party, aka my ex, and sets one of her friends as my husband's date. We didn't realize until we were at the reception and the poor girl tried to make a pass at my husband. My sister said that since we are not married it was okay to explore things with other people. I left the party and the next day spoke with my parents and brother. Explained that while I won't make them choose, I will not talk to my sister ever again, and if they try to fix stuff between us, I will simply cut contact with them too. My mum was devastated and tried to negotiate, but my dad and brother said they would respect my decision. And apart from 2 attempts from my mum, I haven't spoken, written or anything with my sister in the past 6 years. My sister has tried everything to reconcile with me, from gifts to tantrums, but I simply don't talk to her at all. If we are at a family event or dinner, I simply act like she doesn't exist. At first she made snarky comments or tried to create drama, but since nobody backed her up, she gave up. She didn't have a meltdown when she was informed she was invited to my wedding but would not be a part of any preparation. My brother says he feels guilty for going along with it for so long and his relationship with my ex has suffered since my ex. They still talk but they are not as close anymore. The issue. My mum's birthday was a couple of weeks ago and I finally announced we're expecting our first child. This is not the first grandchild but it is the first granddaughter. Everybody was very happy except my sister. My mum noted that and asked me for tea the other day. My sixth sense told me not to go, but I wanted to be positive. The first thing I noticed when I arrived was my sister's car. Then as I entered the door there was my sister, her husband, my ex and my ex-mother-in-law. They wanted to have an intervention since my childish tactic had gone on for so long. My ex said that he was just trying to be romantic but understands I couldn't appreciate it. His mum said I was just hurting my sister for wanting the best for me and she apologized already, so I need to forgive her. I was just sending texts to my family, dad, brother, husband, and looking at my mum in disbelief. My brother-in-law had the balls to tell me I was a hurtful person and I need to learn how to act like an adult since I am having a baby now. Then my mum began reading a letter about how hurt she was her daughters weren't close, how my sister was wrong but she was well intended, etc. Then my sister read her letter and began crying and telling me basically another version of what the rest did. I said nothing to anybody, just sat there until my brother arrived. He was angry beyond anything I've ever seen before. He grabbed my stuff and told them all he was really disappointed and disgusted. We went outside and sat in his car until my dad and husband arrived. By then, I was just sobbing and he kept saying sorry. I'm unsure what happened in there, but I sent everybody, except Mum, an email with my lawyer's number info attached and stated I don't wish to be contacted by any of them ever again, and if they do, I will go to the police. Nobody has contacted me, but I know from my dad, my mum and sister are hysterical. They told him they hope to repair things and for my sister to be able to be in my baby's life. Maybe possibly being a godmother. My dad is staying with my brother at the moment. They support me, but some others in the family don't. I've even had mutual friends call me since they are worried about my sister's well-being and asking me what happened, since she is now going by the narrative my husband is keeping me away from my family. I hate having my business in public, but I did go the public route and posted a long Facebook post about everything that happened. Sister, brother-in-law and ex are being dragged, which even if it wasn't 100% intended, I feel is deserved. Now my mum has been inconsolable, which does make me feel bad, but not as bad as she made me feel with her little intervention. I agreed to have a talk with her a couple of days ago and laid the ground rules for any possible future interaction, including therapy, family therapy, clear boundaries, no sharing information about me with my sister and separate holidays. Most important, if she ever pulls anything like this again, she will for sure be cut off. She feels this is too much but is willing to do it. She thought it meant immediate access to baby news and it is all solved, but I told her it is a process and she needs to prove that she has improved. My dad and brother refuse to talk with my sister and they keep apologizing for not stopping it earlier. We've forgiven them since they were able to move on and grow. My husband supports whatever I decide, but my mother-in-law is unsure cutting my mum's access to her granddaughter is the way to go, but says it is ultimately my decision. I am torn what to do with my mum. So why is the sister so obsessed about this? I mean, this is someone you started dating when you was in high school and there was the proposal, you rejected it, and then it carried on, and it sounds like she was so fixated on getting you together, and what was she doing with her own life in all this drama? And keeping on insisting like, you're in the honeymoon phase and we'll grow out of it. And then when you did go no contact with your sister for this crazy behavior, they tried to throw an intervention for you to try and get you to reconcile. And they called it a childish tactic from you. Absolute madness. Now we've got some comments on this story which I'll cover, then some relevant comments as well, and a couple of updates. But we'll start off with Empress Sith, who says, your sister is fucking unhinged. I am so sorry. This is over a guy you dated in high school. Derpy Yeti 117 says 35, so like she thinks you should marry the dude you were puppy loving in high school, like almost 20 fucking years ago. I'm 33, so basically we're the same age and certainly same high school era. That was like 2001. George W. Bush was in office and you two were actually popular, and the iPhone wasn't even thought of yet, lol. I had to Google and look up popular in 2001 to find these things out, because I barely remember the early 2000s. The Xbox had just came out, the original one, with the first Halo. Yeah, that's how long we're talking about here, lol. That's how long it was ago. Holy fucking shit, that is so over the top I just can't. You're 35, almost middle-aged. My god, your sister, is she like developmentally disabled or something? I mean, dude, that's all I got for this one. Dude. Creature Shock says, I'm kind of surprised your stalker ex, and yes, I will call him that, is still in your brother's life. That said, hold firm with your mother. No timelines. She has to show that she can stick to your rules. Sister needs to live with the consequences of her actions. EMCCM says, I am no contact with my family. I found that it was impossible to be no contact with some and not others. In situations like this, it's the family system that's dysfunctional. Your family could have nipped this in the bud years ago. They chose not to. It's great that your father and brother have come around. It's doubtful that your mother will. People have no inherent right to be in your life. Your sister clearly has issues and they won't be resolved without therapy and the type of self-reflection she doesn't seem capable of. For me personally, I found too impossible to manage people with a set of rules, therapy, I don't discuss X, etc. Eventually they started pushing boundaries as they believe their way of life is best. My life has become infinitely calmer and more peaceful since I accepted that they are who they are. and I removed them from my life. And one more comment from Yo-Yo Mama, who says, "Oh my god, I'm so incredibly sorry. Obviously your sister is horrible and the actions you have taken against her are completely appropriate, and any pain she has experienced is entirely her own doing. As for your mother, I can't believe how selfish this was and the guilt-based tactics she used to try and get what was easiest for her, her daughters talking. Parents should want their children to choose the path that is best for them, and clearly that is what you have done. It's obviously up to you if you want to cut her out, but if you want to leave her room to have a relationship with her grandchild, then you could make an apology stating exactly what she did wrong and that she will never do something like that again, and therapy a prerequisite." So now we have the relevant comments where OP replies. So in response to a commenter saying OP's sister is unhinged, the reply was she got fixated with the idea we could both be married to brothers and be best friends. In response to another comment, OP talked about her ex not being able to move on almost 20 years later. Then replies, "Yes, we're almost the same age. The most ridiculous and scary thing is he still has the mixtapes, CDs I made him when we were dating. Those things are about 20 years old and he still holds on to them." In response to a commenter asking if the family is Indian or religious. Then reply saying, "Not Indian nor from a religious family. My parents were good, nice parents. They thought it was a romantic thing at the beginning, but later realized it wasn't. They encouraged me to go to college and everything. Now I know my dad has actually supported me and my mum might have just played along and have the same beliefs as my sister. My sister had this idea we would be best friends, married to brothers." Now we have a small update and some background info from OP. "The edit I wanted to post but couldn't. I want to thank you for the amount of support and advice so far. I want to give a little more info that is in my comments since there are too many for me to answer them all individually. My ex and I broke up when I was 18. He is 37 now. The reason for our breakup was not that I didn't want to get married or engaged. My sister insistent comes from the fixation of wanting the both of us to marry brothers and being best friends. My mum has always been so nice to my husband and I'm beginning to think it was all a facade, which makes me very sad. My ex has been with people since the breakup. He also has 2 kids with an ex, but he's never been married. My sister says that is a very romantic thing to do since he has only ever wanted to marry me. I should also mention that his obsessive behavior is not only with me. I know from the grapevine he was very similar with the mother of his children, but now he's refocusing on me because my sister is encouraging it since she needs his help on getting back in my good graces so she can be a good aunt. My brother did start to cut him off when I told my parents I was very uncomfortable with my ex around all the time. I was living away for college but would visit my family during breaks. He also made a very big effort to make my husband feel welcome, which deteriorated his relationship with my ex even more because he felt betrayed by my brother. Nowadays my husband is one of my brother's closest friends and he only speaks with my ex when it's about our nephew, sister's son, or not to be rude. Both my parents seem to be supportive of me not wanting to be around my ex so much, but I guess only my dad was in agreement. On the day of the tea party, my mum told him she was making me my favourite tea and sweets, but he couldn't stay since we'd have quality time together. My dad left to go hang out with my uncle since he thought it was a nice sentiment from my mum. He is very pissed off. My husband tried very hard with my sister when they met, but he now just ignores her and believes she is mentally unwell. We don't know if she is or not. Still, there is no excuse for how she behaves. They invited the ex and his mum because they thought it would be good for me to face the root of my issues with my sister, or at least their official version. Also, we are not Indian, not really religious. My husband and I are from the same race. There is no wealth disparity between my ex and my husband. If there is, it would be in favour to my husband. Lastly, my sister-in-laws, both my brother's wife and husband's sisters, are enraged about the situation. My husband and his sisters will be talking with their mum about her comment. My brother and his wife are considering going no contact with my mum permanently. In the meanwhile, they will not allow her to see my nephews for a bit. The more I read, the more I think I might have to go no contact with my mum for the sake of my kid. My husband is heartbroken to think all their interactions were faked, but says he's even more enraged she made me cry and doubt I was a good person. I realise there are still countless conversations to have with my family about my mum, but I will definitely be going for a restraining order against my sister and the ex. The proper semi-update. The state of my family so far. I had a conversation with my mother, but she insists she knew best. I am a bad person and she will be getting grandparents' rights or even custody. I am nothing what she says, but I am still panicked, so we sent her a letter about it. My dad moved out definitely. He told her that he could not sign on her terrorizing his kid. My brother and his wife also decided to go no contact. I know it seems very sudden, but I think I understood the level of despair I had after the intervention. My husband told them afterward that to think very well about what they appreciated and to be kind and receptive to everything, but would not raise a kid on a toxic environment. Reason 300,000 why I love my husband. My husband is very heartbroken about my mum and her fakeness. He says she will never get anything from him. This is as much as revenge goes here. My husband and sisters talked to my mother-in-law about her comment and made her understand why it was very out of it. As many of you assumed, she is a very loving mum from a loving family. My dad and brother keep apologizing for any role they played on this. My dad can't believe it went to this point. He says it was surreal for him. Regardless, they support me no matter what and say they're willing to help me fight whatever ridiculous fight my mum or sister put. Final update, or I hope it is. I want to thank the lovely messages and encouraging words. I decided to post it here so it wouldn't be deleted like the original was. Things are great and horrible at the same time, but I am trying to remain positive about everything. My brother and his wife sat my nephews down and explained that grandma was ill and tried to hurt Auntie Diamond and little cousin. They explained grandma would not be part of their lives anymore, but that doesn't mean she doesn't love them. It was really hard, but the kids are smart. They were also told Aunt is no longer in their life, but they don't care because they dislike her. Not because of me alone, simply because she is not exactly great with them either. My mum lost it when she was informed and started claiming she had rights and she will get to see her grandchildren. My dad is looking for a permanent place but will stay with us until January, mainly due to my brother's mother-in-law coming to visit and we having the space. He is really sad, has called divorce lawyers already, moved bank stuff, etc. He has been getting countless emails, messages and calls from my mum, but he doesn't reply to anything. The lawyer told him to not block her right now. He considered maybe forgiving her, but I got a huge spike in my blood pressure a couple of days after my last post here because she decided to come to my place with my sister. My sister had never been to my home. My mum knew I didn't want her there, but I guess that doesn't matter anymore. The cleaning lady let them in since she knows my mum, and I haven't had the time to inform her she was not allowed to come in anymore. I was just coming from some errands and I saw the car. This time I didn't get in. I called all my relatives and my sister-in-law, husband's sister, was the one closer to me. She confronted them and told them that they either leave or I call the police on them for trespassing. They left and I started feeling bad. We went to the doctor and they told me all the excitement was not good and I needed to start relaxing or it would hurt the baby. My dad went home with my brother, uncle and my husband and took every single thing they could think of. My husband says my sister was there too and she kept screaming at him that he destroyed her family. My dad told my mum and sister they almost killed the baby and he also doesn't want to talk to any of them again. My sister kept sending messages to my brother, begging for help, but it is not happening. I am devastated and very sad for my nephew since he is losing so much of his family because his mother has some wacky ideas, but it is what it is. As per the custody and grandparents' rights my mum wants to throw around so much, my lawyer sent her a letter stating she caused harm to my health and the baby, and if she keeps harassing me it will become an official legal matter. My brother also sent her a letter using her harassing of me. Both mum and sister have refused to go to therapy. They might be mentally ill, but with all of this coming to light, it is obvious they have been in agreement for a long time. I will focus on spending the holidays with my family, being healthy and going to therapy. Incredibly wild story as we've been seeing on the relationships just recently anyway. And obviously no contact is the best way to go about this for your own health, for your baby's health, for your family's health in general. And I gotta say, like yourself in this one, OP, that you feel sorry for your nephew, and that hurt me as well, thinking that that poor nephew is having to grow up with that sister. Knowing what we already know about this person in this story is incredibly painful to read. But Joe Dawson 8 says, in most jurisdictions, grandparents' rights require an already existing relationship with the child. This child isn't even born yet. Good luck on that. Iz says, this is scary. I usually tap out on the roller coaster posts. I was clutching my invisible pearls all the way. Those poor kids, the family, OP. Has their water been tested for lead? This was beyond comprehension. I hope OP and family can heal. The mum and sister are too far gone to ever trust again, in my opinion. Hunter Dangerous says, I can't get over the intervention part. OP, we think you've made your point with this charade now. It's time to stop acting like a fool and be with the man we all think you should be with. We went along with the relationship and the wedding, but now you're pregnant. It's got to stop. X has been waiting for 20 years. Listen to your sister. Then says, like, no. She needs a restraining order on mum, sister, and the ex. Nekabu says, undiagnosed personality disorders are a real bitch. OP's sister is living in a Hallmark Christmas movie and she suckered her mother into it. I'm in my 50s. I've had a really good career in IT. My mother has made it clear I was supposed to be a nurse, live with her and my father and care for them until their dying day. If I got married, my family was to live with them as well, but their care was first and foremost. When I got my BSc SE, my mother's words were, I've never been so embarrassed in my life. It has been slightly less than 2 years since my mother last asked me when I was going to give up my foolish rebellion and stop pretending to know how computers work and get my registered nurse's degree, and moved back to take care of her. I keep 1,000 miles between us and my family. And one more from XLPager03 who says, I wonder at what point mum and sister will realise they've gone too far and stop digging. Now they're blaming things on dad and went to visit OP again to try and change her mind. It seems like the ex and his family have backed off to save face, but mum and sister seem convinced if they keep going things will end up their way. Now, what do you guys make of this one? What are your thoughts on this story? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. A huge thank you for spending your time with me today, getting involved in the stories, the updates, the likes, all that good stuff. It means the absolute world to me, as always. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.
Wake up, get up, stretch my legs, eat some breakfast, milk and eggs, brush my teeth up, wash my face, throw my clothes on, start my day. Wake up, I can smell the smoke from the bacon. Let's go, see the sun shining from the windows.